trending this hour. Today in the USA, nothing funny about this one. Death toll in the Oakland warehouse fire has climbed to 36 today, with more bodies still feared buried in the blackened ruins, and families anxiously awaiting word of their missing loved ones. Flames tore through a building known as the Ghost Ship during a dance party Friday night. Quentin Brogdon is here, Dallas-based personal injury attorney. Quentin, have you looked into this?
As a matter of fact, I have, Rusty. Good afternoon.
Hi, what did you find out?
Well, it's certainly fertile ground. We don't know how it's going to shake out. It's still being investigated, but they're looking into it from the criminal angle, and there may be a civil angle as well for some of the victims' families suing responsible parties, one or more.
Like, who could you sue for this?
Well, you had the man who was operating the warehouse. He wasn't the owner. He was leasing it from the owner, and then he was subleasing it, Derek Almena.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he bears any responsibility or not here, but it sure sounds like this warehouse was a death trap. It had one stairway down from the second to the first floor. You know, it was a bunch of nailed-together wooden pallets and no sprinklers. It wasn't zoned. It wasn't permitted by the city for parties or for living in, and you know, Almena himself was living there. He wasn't there at the time, and it's not clear what his association, if any, with the party that was going on at the time was.
Mm-hmm.
But conceivably, depending on the facts, he might be a defendant going down the road, as well as maybe the owner of the warehouse. It just depends what the facts support.
I'm guessing the owner is the one, because they got money. I bet you a lot of money the guy running that place doesn't have a nickel.
Sure. You know, because you own the store that Kroger is operating their grocery store in, and Kroger does something negligent inside, does not necessarily mean if you own the property, but you can be on the hook as the owner. Again, it just depends on what the facts are. We don't know enough of those yet to know who would be on the hook ultimately legally, if anybody.
Doesn't it mean more about who has more money, usually?
Well, the lawyers certainly look at so-called deep pockets, who could be on the hook and where the insurance is. But there should be, or you shouldn't go forward as a lawyer, some kind of theory that makes sense and is real. And if there isn't one, can you find a lawyer who might go forward? Maybe, but the lawyers shouldn't be going forward and should be advising the families of these folks who died this way that, you know, we just don't see a viable claim here if there isn't one.
I mean, I'm looking at pictures of this thing, and it looks like somebody raided the garbage dumps on a regular basis and just threw all that crap in there in that place.
There's no question, based on what we know, there were fire hazards everywhere. In fact, in mid-November, the city had opened an investigation into the warehouse because of complaints that neighbors had filed about piled trash and people living illegally in the warehouse. So there certainly appears to be, you know, indications that there were things going on that didn't meet code, you know, serious things going on,
mm-hmm.
and that this kind of thing ultimately would have been foreseeable. And that's a big question in the law always, is something foreseeable, whether you're looking at criminal law or civil law. Could you foresee that piled up trash and people living there illegally could lead to a fire where people would be injured? I think you can argue yes. We don't know what caused this. Maybe it was an overloaded electrical circuit. Maybe it was a cigarette
mm-hmm.
hitting some of this piled up trash. We don't know yet. But again, is that foreseeable would be an issue, and it sure looks like it was foreseeable.
All right, Quentin Brogdon, give me your website if you would, please.
Sure, we're at Crain Lewis, Crain Lewis, LEWIS.com. It's Crain Lewis Brogdon is our firm.
All right, hey, I sure appreciate it. Thank you for being here and Trending Today USA.